it's sort of relevant on two levels. Data layering has to do with the way you sequence the information you give your customer, and it has to do with the piece itself, the pieces themselves that you're giving to your customer. So first, let me talk a little bit about sequencing of information. One thing that we've noticed with sales teams is that when they have tools at their disposal, white papers, sell sheets, any kind of information, sometimes there's a tendency to want to convince the customer, look how much we know. And so again, like that novice volleyball player, they'll sort of hit the customer with everything at once. This might take the form of an email with 5 attachments, or a packet that just has a lot of stuff crammed into it. Well, the customer, think about how busy you and I are, is going to see this, and there's no prioritization of information. It's very difficult for them to wade through all of that and get to the point where they understand what you're trying to convey. And so, ideally, the way the sales process should be working is more of a volley back and forth. You send something of interest to the customer, you gauge their reaction to it, you sort of eke it out strategically over time in a way that allows you to coach them, to guide them through the information, to work them toward the solution that you're trying to get them to consider, and again, walks them toward a sale. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about today was, again, the sequencing, the data layering on the tool itself. There is a noted information specialist. His name is Edward Tufte. It's T-U-F-T-E. You can Google him, look him up online. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. He's written several books. And one of the things that Edward Tufte talks about is this concept of interface and interaction. He's filled up several books to go into what this is, but quite simply, all he's saying is that the way people understand what you're saying has everything to do with how you choose to present it to them. There's a concept he talks about called mental load. And if you think about it this way, if you're going to hand somebody a 50-page booklet and say, here's all the information you need to know, read this, and then you'll be able to set up your computer. For a lot of people, that's kind of a lot. They're wading through all this linear information. There's very little prioritization saying, look here, do this. It doesn't step them through anything. So it's a very heavy mental load for somebody who's busy, for somebody who's more of an experiential learner to take on and to learn the task that you're trying to get them to understand. Edward Tufte is talking about putting information together in a way that reduces the mental load for your audience so they don't have to do as much work to get to the message you're trying to give them. We do this with our dimensional pieces, by the way, because of the windows and the slide and the spin format. Information is sort of pre-prioritized on our pieces so that somebody just has to line up a couple of arrows and they'll see a calculation. They'll see something that's already been taken through the formulas, the math that it needed to have, and there's the answer. So it reduces mental load considerably. That's why such major customers still use dimensionals, because it's something that can be carried anywhere, and it reduces the amount of work that the recipient or the user has to put into it.